That was the worst I've seen the Oklahoma City Thunder look in the last few years. Like, this team almost won 70 games. They dominated the NBA on a night in, night basis. I have admitted, like, I am familiar with OKC, but when I think about who I watched over the course of this season, they aren't at the top of that list because of how good they were. Because when I tuned into OKC on a random Tuesday and I watched a quarter and a half, they were already up 27. There was no need for me to stay and watch the rest of that game. Like, they were that damn good. So to see them have this overtime and the ending of this game be the way that it was after what happened in game one, it was kind of mind-boggling, and then at the same time, it was kind of impressive for the Denver Nuggets. For the Denver Nuggets to force them to look this way. Couple of things that we have to start with. Number one, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander taking 0 shots in overtime. I mean, that's unacceptable. Hardenstein leading them in shot attempts in the overtime, again unacceptable. And pretty much that second half, it was really J-Dub, leading them in that third. He really gave them a really, really good quarter when they needed it there. And then from that point on, it was just him or Shea who could create something in isolation. And oftentimes you didn't get good looks from Shea. And at the end of the game, you couldn't get anything for J-Dub. The Denver Nuggets have said, hey, we're going to eliminate Shea and we're going to eliminate J-Dub as much as we can. And the others, we're not really going to care too much about. You have to credit Christian Braun. Christian Braun, when I watched the possessions that he was guarding Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he slid his feet really well, chest poked out, hands up. Not allowing myself to be in any position where the refs can call fouls. I know exactly who I'm guarding, and I know the history here, and I'm not going to put myself in any position where I'm going to be vulnerable to fouling him, right? Arms up, can't reach in, can't say I'm doing anything to foul him. Chest out to absorb contact and to initiate contact on the drives, and I'm ready in position to move my feet laterally to keep up. I thought he did a phenomenal job with that, especially in the fourth quarter and in an overtime. And then you had the gap help from the nail or from wherever, where they said, hey, Chet is not shooting the ball, incredibly this game. Dort has not made a three this game. We're not guarding Hardenstein, obviously, from the perimeter, and we can just load up. And so even if you do get past Christian Braun or whatnot, Shea was seeing bodies on bodies on bodies. And towards the end of the game and in the overtime, it felt the same way for J-Dub there. So credit the Denver Nuggets. Definitely don't want to make this about Oklahoma City fumbling or looking bad, because with those things, you have to credit the Denver Nuggets. And then on the other side of the basketball, Aaron Gordon continues to step up. Timely threes. He hit the big three to tie the game. Michael Porter Jr. was lights out from three tonight. Jamal Murray continues to be the guy who just is there for the timely buckets. And then you got to credit Jokic. He didn't have the greatest shooting night, but he still stayed locked in, gave him everything else. I felt like there was some key defensive possessions where he was engaged in big time there as well. Peyton Watson hit a couple big threes for him. Russell Westbrook had a big corner three at one point. Another really good win that really shows and, puts on display the championship DNA that this Denver Nugget team have. When they are in these types of games and they're down 6 or 7 right here, or a little run happens, the poise that they have, the familiarity with each other, the continuity really shows in the crunch time. They have bread and butter, reliability, sets and plays, and just they know exactly what to do. It is a joy to watch, honestly. You see times get tough. Murray and Jokic are going to be at the top of that key. They're going to be doing a two-man game, and you'll have MPJ spacing it. You now have Aaron Gordon spacing it. He can attack offensive rebounds or slips and cuts. They are just, again, a joy to watch. To not see them ever panic. It never feels like they're panicking. There was one point in this game where I felt like OKC was just throwing up three after three after three after three. And again, you credit Denver because they, packed up that paint and made the court a lot smaller for Shea, to the point where it felt like he even settled a few times for three-point shots. And they didn't shoot the ball at all that well. I think they shot 26% from three tonight. Yes, they were 9 of 35. They also left 7 points at the free throw line. And again, you feel good if you're the Nuggets. Like they're turning the Nuggets over. Nuggets had 14 turnovers Oklahoma City Thunder had 18 offensive rebounds compared to the Nuggets 5. Like, there are some things in this game for the Nuggets that you still feel like, man, we could have been better here. We could have, like, Jokic having 8 turnovers. I know he's going to be kicking himself rewatching some of the turnovers he had. 8 of 25. I know he's going to be kicking himself about some of those bunnies that he missed. He did go all 10 from 3, but he also had some bunnies at the rim that he really, really, really wanted back. So they ain't played their perfect game. They've had some really, really strong halves, but there are still some things here where the Nuggets can clean up and be even better, if you ask me. And yeah, going forward for the Thunder, I'm very curious to see what they're going to try to do to make up for um, some of the lack of attention that the others are garnering from the Denver Nuggets. They just don't like, and we have these conversations all the time because I tell people when it comes to shooting, reputation is really where it's at. We get so enamored with percentages, and don't get me wrong, I'm not here to discredit anybody in their percentages. Like, shooting 40% is a milestone, and it should be celebrated, and we should acknowledge it, especially when it's guys who put in work like a Lou Dort, right? Like, Lou Dort put in a lot of work on his three-point shot to make sure that he wasn't going to be a liability on the offensive side of the floor, and ensured himself to be on the floor for most of the game because of what he can do on the defensive side of the basketball. But as a Knicks fan, I know far too well that teams don't care if you shoot 40%. They care about what their reputation is. I remember when RJ Barrett shot 40% from 3, then we went into a series against the Hawks, and the Hawks could care less because his reputation is that he's a streaky shooter who you can get away with leaving if you have to pick your poison. And when we get into the playoffs and you have teams like the Thunder who are led by an MVP caliber player, possibly, potentially our next MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, scoring 30-plus points per game, if you're the Thunder, it's like, we have to stop him. And if stopping him means that Lou Dort is going to have a few decent or really good looks, then that's just the price we're going to have to pay. We're willing to live with that. And when you look at the Thunder roster, as far as three-point shooting goes, majority of their roster is that way. Like, Isaiah Joe is the only guy that you might feel like you have to be attached to, and he only played 3 minutes this game. It ain't like he is, out here for 27, 30 minutes a night, right? Because of what he's going to not be able to do on the defensive side of the floor. And then you even got a guy like Caruso who gives you everything on defense. He's not a guy that anybody's like, oh my gosh, where's Caruso at? Yeah, he might make some, but it's never going to be enough to, shift anything. Case and Wallace, capable of knocking down shots. They don't feel like they have to stay attached to him. On a night like this, Chat 1 of 6, they don't have to feel like they have to stay attached to Chat. Then his shot takes a little bit longer, so it gives you confidence that you can recover to properly contest his shot. So there's that. That was a conversation all year, by the way. Every time the Thunder came up, it was hard to really gauge them and find flaws without nitpicking. But around the deadline and when, there were conversations on different ways they could get better, that was one, where a lot of names of knockdown shooters are being suggested. I remember, Cam Johnson was a big name that it was like, hey, could Cam Johnson go to the Thunder? Could the Thunder put together some significant package for Trey Murphy? Like, would that be a thing? Kevin Durant has been linked to them. And so it's going to be interesting to see if they can get past that and overcome that in this series, because I guarantee you, like, the Denver Nuggets are going to love watching that film back and saying, oh, man, like, Shai really couldn't do anything. Shai didn't he shot 5 free throws today. 7 of 22 from the field, 31%, 1 of 6 from 3. And then he didn't take a single shot in overtime. Oh, man, they are going to double down on what they were doing, and they're going to say, somebody else beat us. Somebody else step up and beat us. And by how lost OKC looked in overtime, you can't help but think that they're going to be confident with that game plan. I mean, that offense in the overtime was like head scratching. It didn't look like they had anything going. This is a reflection of the players, and also this is Mark Daigneault. Like, they look like legitimately lost. There was no preparation, and it almost made me sit and think, like, it's incredible to dominate the NBA. It's incredible to have 68 wins. It's incredible to almost have 70 wins, especially with a team that is as young as they are. But do you lose some of the opportunities to go through the fire, to have some of these experiences? I think that, the Thunder went into overtime once this entire year, and they lost. They were 0-1. Like, so when you dominate by such, large margins of victory, you lose out on some of these type of experiences, and it's not even like you played 10 years to 2 year experience, but just like in the season, like even in college basketball, I always say that I hate in college basketball when a team does not lose in the regular season. They go into the tournament undefeated. I hate it. I hate it because you want a team to know how it feels to lose. You want a team to be able to have that experience where the game is on the line, the last minute they're down two. That creates something. That's why the Nuggets look so composed all the time, no matter who they're playing, if they're at home, if they're on the road. When that game is close, they have a sense of confidence and a sense of poise that they don't panic. They don't panic. They just stay ready for the moment. And the Thunder, they did not reflect that for themselves in that overtime. So it's going to be extremely interesting, man. It is going to be extremely interesting to see the way that the rest of the series goes. This has been a fun series. And yeah, man, this is like another thing that I'm thinking about, another stat I would love to know. And I text the group chat about this as well because I don't have the stat in front of me, right? And again, I'm not discrediting anybody, and it's not to be negative, but I'm just curious. There are certain players around the league who I would love to know. What would I would call this, like 3-point pressure percentage. What does a player shoot from three in the pressured moments? We get like a flat out percentage. He shoots 40% from three. He shoots 38% from three. But there's differences with context with where we are in games. And this is probably a stat that already exists. This is probably a stat that is on its way to existence. Somebody may be working on this stat as we speak. But there are certain shooters who shoot the ball a lot better when there's an 8-point cushion, 9-point cushion. Like I remember when LeBron played for the Cavs in that last stint. And this is even with the Kyrie and Kevin Love team. This is after Kevin Love and Kyrie even, or after Kyrie even. But it's like they would be on the road at the finals against the Warriors. And boy, when the Warriors are running, gunning in the Oracle, and the Cavs are down 9, and LeBron is driving, and he kicks it out to whoever, doink. But then when the Cavs were at home, or like that 3-1 comeback, and they got momentum and everything is on their side, and they win in some of those games, blowing them out, hefty leads, those guys are now making those shots. And I text the group chat, and again, this is nothing to discredit, but I remember texting him about Lou Dort. I'm like, man, Lou Dort is like a sniper when you have a 7-point lead. But like when you don't got a 7-point lead, what's the difference of some of these shooters with a 7-point lead or a 7-point deficit with 2.5 minutes to go? That's what I'm saying. And I'm not pointing out only Lou Dort. I'm sure this is like you can find one of these guys on every single team for all 30 teams. Every starting lineup probably has one of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the shooting percentage for OG Anunoby when you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, just curious, because I've noticed that a bunch, just like watching the game in real time. Again, I don't have any information or any stats in front of me to prove anything or to say, so I'll open that up to y'all if there's any statisticians or anybody that has this information in front of them right now. If you know, let me know. Let me know, because my eyes, I feel like, are telling me that there are a bunch of shooters who they shoot 44% from three when they have a 9-point lead. But that game get closer, that game on the other side, and now that 44% turns to 27 really, really, really quick. But yeah. Thunder going to have their back against the wall for that next game. And matter of fact, I'm very curious to see when that next game is going to be, because they did not get the rest that I thought they was going to get. I thought they were going to play tomorrow. Yeah, they play Sunday, because I think the Knicks had like a 2-day rest. They've been having the Thunder and the Nuggets just play. Other series, though, from today, not as exciting, unfortunately, as this game. But in Game 3, Cavs-Pacers, the Cavaliers are able to steal one. Fine, I don't even want to say steal one. They took one, and it's 2-1 now. 2-1. So you have that. I'll say zone defense was something that really neutralized the Pacers. That's one of the biggest things and the only things I have from the game. Like that zone really put a halt to a lot of the swagger and the pace that the Pacers are playing at, and they were tremendously affected by it. Tremendously. You do the zone, and then you also continue to have an aggressiveness with how you're guarding Tyrese Halliburton. Like I'm watching possessions where Max Strus is literally trying to be his shadow. Is they're just like, we're going to eliminate the ability for you guys to play with that tempo and that fast for a full on game. It also helped the Cavs that they had all three of their guys back. You bring in two starters, defensive player of the year, all-star guard, and Darius Garland, and you also bring back DeAndre Hunter, who was sixth man of the year candidate. So that helped. And then defensively, we know what the Cavs do. Again, back on the zone, that second quarter, the Pacers scored 13 points. Scored 13 points. It is extremely hard to come back from scoring 13 points, especially if it's not that first quarter. My Knicks did it in the other game against the Celtics, but again, it was the first quarter, so we were able to just kind of tell ourselves, hey, man, can't get worse than this. So we'll just pick up our pace. But they shot 22% from the field, 0 of 11 from three, and then they shot 60% from the free throw line in that second quarter with 6 turnovers. Cavaliers, like, legitimately turned off the water. Had Mobley at the top of the zone. I think that was also important, putting Mobley at the top. When they rotated the ball and it got to those wings, it allowed Mobley to also drop in the zone, and it gave him confidence to be able to recover with his size and his length. There were times, though, that the Pacers did generate some good three-point shots. They moved the ball early and often, but I think with how they started the game, it was just hard for them to really get a rhythm for their shooting. And I saw a lot of really, really good shots and really, really good looks not fall today. They just didn't fall. And you do have those type of nights, and it can get tough. And you also have to credit Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell continues to be relentless, continues to put his head down and put as much pressure on the rim as he possibly can. And I think that's just going to be an underrated part of this series, where it's just going to be tough to stop Donovan Mitchell. And in some of those games, it was tough, but they were not making shots. They were missing shots, and it gave you a bit of an opportunity. But now, what did the Cavs shoot today? So in today's game, because they're getting better and better with their three-point shooting. Guys are coming back to life slowly but surely. So today they still only shot around 30%, but you're getting 4 threes from Max Strus, 2 of 7 from Garland. Ty Jerome continues to struggle, but you got some guys came back, so it alleviated a little bit of pressure. Evan Mobley hit a 3, but also because the Pacers shot 30% from 3, they kind of balance each other out there. But, yeah, they're slowly starting to pick up some of their makes. Donovan Mitchell, 5 of 13 today. Got to the free throw line 14 times. Big time. Big win. Pressure's still on, though. I think pressure is as even as it can be. Pacers win this, you go up 3-1. Cavs, if you win this, it's 2-2. Both teams have a lot to play for. Pacers want to go up 3-1. Cavs don't want to go down 3-1. One interesting thing that I did see in the third quarter against the zone, Obi Toppin screened Sam Merrill on the inside of the zone on the right side. And on the left hand of the ball handler, who was TJ McConnell, Benedict Mathurin came up from the middle of the zone and screened the other inside. So both of these both of these defenders on the inside are being screened, and it created a driving lane for TJ McConnell. So I was seeing them do little different intricate things against the zone, a lot of screening, a lot of things that they tried to implement there. I wonder if they were preparing or trying to test some things late in that game that they could potentially use in game 4. So keep that in mind as well. Pacers also took a lot of bad shots too. They kind of panicked a little bit in some of these games where I feel like they could have had some better looks. I've seen a lot of settling from 3 where I would have preferred to see some better shots. So, yeah, this video is really about that Thunder Nuggets game. Hopefully we have a better and more exciting Pacers-Cavaliers game in game 4. Tomorrow is going to be very, very big time with the Celtics and Knicks, seeing if the Celtics are going to get a win and make this series a little bit more lively. And then we also have Timberwolves and Warriors, which is a 1-1 series, and is now going back to the Bay. No Steph Curry. So we'll see what happens there. As always, I appreciate y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow on Numbers on the Board. I had to get y'all some type of playoff fix, but I'm out. Peace.